This is the last Sunday in our series of sermons on discernment. Been talking about discernment all month. Discernment is the process we use to find our path in life. What is my mission from God's standpoint in this moment? Ideally, we find our way, we discern our path based on God's will, based on love, based on what's best for everybody, for all of God's creation. But there's so much noise, so many competing voices and ideas and challenges. Finding our next step can be difficult. So it's not something we should be doing rashly or quickly necessarily. Determining our path in life and determining our next steps towards that path is important. It's worth taking time. Something we need to do with intention, purposefully. How do you make important decisions in life? Now, typically I encourage people to pray, of course, and meditate, and of course discuss important decisions with others as part of that process. Ideally, when we're discerning our path and selecting our next step in life, we will first spend time expanding our perspective, stepping back as much as possible, taking in as much information as we can from all available sources. And I also like to recommend that people sleep on it, maybe even more than once. Sleep on it before making that big decision in life, and then after you've made the decision, sleep on it again before you've done anything about it. Why sleep on it? There's a lot of reasons. For one thing, we tend to focus on the concrete and the things we can hold in our hand, the things we understand. But we're complex creatures. And our concrete reality is only a part of our experience, a part of who we are, just a portion. We're talking about dreams, and realize that we spend 1/3 of our life sleeping. 1/3. So healthy sleep habits are every bit as important as healthy eating habits. Yet we pay relatively little attention to this huge part of ourselves. We focus on our rational mind, on our conscious mind, often ignoring the parts of ourself we can't so easily access or understand. Our unconscious mind, or our subconscious mind, including our dreams. So I want to focus on that, on discernment and on how our time sleeping can be part of our overall discernment process. The use of dreams and discernment in finding our next step in life is an ancient practice, and it appears in many places in our Bibles. Yet in the modern world, many people tend to see dreams as nonsense, as unhelpful, or even as a burden. This tendency to see dreams as a burden can leave a gap in our discernment process, a gap that most of us don't notice because we don't know how to use our seemingly irrational dreams. We don't know how to integrate that within our rational decision-making efforts, or even if we should. But the fact that dreams play such a big role in the Bible leads me to feel that we should be better educated in this area, both for ourselves and to be in a position to help others discern their dreams as well. Have you ever done this? Have you ever used dreams? Have dreams ever come into play for important decisions in your life? Can you think of time that that's ever happened, or someone you know of? Or has a dream ever changed the course of your life? Dreams are an important part of who we are as human beings, part of our wholeness. Dreams can help us understand ourselves in deep and meaningful ways. That sort of self-understanding is helpful in making good decisions. It's helpful in finding our path in life. Everyone knows what dreams are, right? I'm not talking about daydreaming. I'm not talking about visions. Those are other subjects for maybe another Sunday. But what happens when we're asleep? Our brains, as it turns out, do they shut off when we go to sleep? No. They're busy. They're almost as busy during our sleep as they are when we're awake, although different, yet just as busy. Do you remember your dreams? Do you try to remember your dreams? Science and research using brain scans has found that everyone dreams, even if you don't remember. And science, to a certain degree, has also found that useful information can be obtained through dreams. There have been studies that our brains can engage in creative problem solving and do engage in creative problem solving when we sleep. When we dream, the areas in our brain used for focused attention and rational thought are a bit less active than when we're awake. And the areas in our brain involved in emotional processing and memory and instinctive responses are far more active. Science also shows us how dreaming helps us to process and regulate our emotional and mental health. If we're prevented from dreaming, we'll literally go insane. Dreams help rewire the brain and condition us to better handle the experiences and the emotions we encounter in our day-to-day life. It goes on behind the scenes every night. When a stressful experience or when anxiety is too intense to process in a normal way, we often have nightmares as our mental systems try and regain balance. And dreams can feel very real to us. They kind of, in a lot of cases, for most of us, they simulate our actual lives. And there tends to be like a certain degree of consistency in our waking and our dreaming modes of thought. Do you know how much adults typically dream? Brain scans have found that adults typically have 3 to 5 separate dreams a night. And those 3 to 5 dreams typically take about 2 hours out of every 8 hours of sleep. So for adults, dreams last from just a few seconds to as long as 20 minutes. Few dreams, according to studies, last longer than a half an hour, although they can seem to last years sometimes within our minds. Interestingly, newborn babies spend like 80% of their sleep in dreams, while adults spend over only 20%, suggesting that dreams have an important role in early brain development. Human attitudes about dreams have changed drastically over the time. They're very different in different cultures. In ancient societies, dreams were seen as part of the real world. And lessons in the ancient world that you learned from dreams were more powerful. They were more important. They were more credible than lessons learned in our waking life. In biblical times, most pleasant dreams were seen as coming from God, while stressful dreams, particularly nightmares, were believed to be caused by evil spirits or something other than God. Biblical people believed that dreams had prophetic powers. And so there was a great demand for people who could accurately interpret dreams. They were a very important part of the village. And almost everyone would go and see them. Throughout history, people have talked to one another about their dreams, much more so than we do today, in an effort to discern their meaning. By the Middle Ages in Europe, life itself was a bit of a nightmare. And so dreams were mostly seen as evil in the Middle Ages, as temptation, as controlled by the devil. Even the great church leader, Martin Luther, the founder of the Protestant Reformation in Germany back in the 16th century, generally believed that dreams were the domain of evil. A sign of his times, really. Today, most people, see dreams as either nonsense or at least harmless, even if they can be kind of scary sometimes. Our decreased attention to dreams in modern times has led to fewer of us remembering our dreams. And if we do remember them, most of us don't think of them as being particularly useful. Within the Christian church, there is no agreed upon position or theology regarding dreams that I'm aware of for a number of reasons. For one thing, Jesus never mentions dreams. You ever notice that? Never mentions them. Jesus never talks about his own dreams or about other people's dreams. I find that a little surprising, but my guess is that Jesus probably did work with dreams, given that dreams played such a pivotal role in his early life, as we heard from our scripture from the book of Matthew. Right? Joseph accepted Mary's pregnancy due to a dream. Joseph moved his family to Egypt due to a dream. Joseph moved his family back from Israel to a specific location in Israel because of another dream. So dreams dominated the big decisions made by Jesus' parents when he was a young child. So it'd be surprising if Jesus wasn't aware of that fact, if that wasn't part of his ministry, even if there's no record of it. Now, in the Old Testament, boy, there are many examples of dreams and of dream interpretation. You remember the story of Jacob's ladder in the Bible, in Genesis? Jacob's ladder was a dream, right? It was from a dream that Jacob had, with angels traveling up and down the ladder between heaven and earth. Daniel, the other scripture passage we read today from the book of Daniel, was also known for his dreams and his ability to interpret dreams of others, and in fact, his entire life was very much directed by his ability to interpret dreams. There's a lot of material in the Bible that suggests that dreams should be something we consider. That dreams are a natural tool, a natural part of our spiritual growth process. Not that we should expect our dreams to solve all our problems. They're just one piece of a much bigger picture that is the human experience. Dreams are another tool in our toolbox, useful for understanding ourselves, particularly when it comes to discerning our next step in life. If you have a question, do you know how to use your dreams to find an answer? Do you know what process to follow? If you're in the process of trying to discern God's will for your life, or another important question, as you fall asleep, ponder the question. Just think about it as you fall asleep and maybe say a prayer. Ask God for guidance and then let it go and fall asleep. It's one of the best ways to help get answers from dreams is go to sleep with intention. And then if you wake up in the middle of the night, grab a pad of paper and take notes on any dream you can remember. And don't expect it'll be obviously about what you asked. It won't be necessarily obvious, but it may well have a lot to do with it. Once you've remembered and recorded a dream, the next step is interpretation. And this is where things get interesting. Some dreams are useful, some are less useful, right? Some dreams can have literal elements, but most are highly symbolic. Some dreams are responses to our autonomic nervous system, to our nervous system. And others are due to chemical imbalances, what we ate. Others are reflections and adjustments because of our emotional state. But this is all information. And it's all mostly about us, about our insides. So they can be helpful if we learn to pay attention to it. Useful information can come through any of these kinds of dreams, and sometimes the message takes several nights of dreaming to tease it out, right? There's no quick fix here. This takes time. This takes effort. The more we do it, the better we get at it. If we have repeated dreams, everyone had repeated dreams before, that's an indication that maybe we haven't heard the message yet. That's why it gets repeated. So pay particular attention to repeated dreams. One of the more difficult aspects of understanding our dreams is that Americans are not good at understanding symbolism. There's nothing in our experience that teaches us to understand symbolism. Dream symbolism, it's not, there's universal elements, but it's not totally universal. It's often very individual. It often is very dependent on our own personal experiences in the context of the dream. So it's not just what the dream means, it's also what it felt like, what it smelled like, the colors involved, the overall environment. There are so many details we can notice, particularly as our skill in remembering our dreams improves. Dreams can have meaning even if they're boring dreams. Dreams about day-to-day life that seem trivial at first glance. And sometimes, like in Daniel's dream from today's scripture, dreams contain elements that are improbable or extraordinary. Okay, that happens. Dreams that are like that have very unusual things, are one of the ways that our unconscious mind has to communicate things if we're ready to listen. So when our dreams are not a reflection of our normal life, when strange things happen in our dreams, that's usually an indication of an important metaphorical insight, an important spiritual, or it could be spiritual, symbolic message or understanding or situation. Weird things in dreams are a symbolic attempt to get our attention, much as repeated dreams are. Dreams also offer an opening for God, for the Spirit, to heal us, to give us needed information about our lives, and to encourage us to take the next step on our spiritual journey. Most of us only remember maybe 1 or 2 dreams a week, if that, if we don't put effort into it. But that's a good place to start. That's okay. We can't understand our dreams unless we have an accurate memory of them. But as you might have noticed, our memory of dreams is fleeting. It's easy to lose. So one of the first steps to understanding our dreams is to learn how to remember them. One approach, I already mentioned, is to place a notepad and a pencil in easy reach next to your bed before you go to sleep. Or just use the voice recorder on your phone. We remember our dreams best just as we're waking up. So just as you write it down or speak in your recorder, here's what I remember. By writing down or recording our dreams, by trying to remember right away, we improve our memory of our dreams significantly. Now, once you've written down or recorded your dreams, first thing in understanding them is assume they're symbolic. They might be literal in some ways, but even literal dreams are laced with symbolism. Americans as a whole are never taught how to understand symbolism, particularly not the symbolism of dreams. And what a symbolism means to me, because of my life experiences, might be different from what a symbol means to you. And by symbolism, I don't mean symbols like we normally think of them, like circles or triangles, although they can be part of it. Okay. More typically, the symbols in a dream are actually physical objects in the waking world. Okay. So common dream symbols include things like a home, church, school, a car, people, weather. Do you think of those as symbols? In dreams, that's exactly what they are. These are dream symbols. Things that we think of as concrete objects in our waking world are symbols in our dream world. It's going to be really hard reality to come to grips with, but a vital one if you're going to understand what's going on. So I'm going to give you some general examples of how these symbols work, what they typically mean. For example, if you dream about your home, what do you think that's symbolic of? If it's your home, probably symbolic of your own body, okay, or your soul, or yourself, or maybe symbolic of your family, depending on your living situation. If you dream about your home on fire, it rarely means that your house is actually going to burn down. That's not what the symbolism is trying to tell you. Although it might, dreams are tricky, it's possible, but very rarely is that the case. If your home was on fire in a dream, usually it's a symbolic indication that you lack internal peace, or that you're overwhelmed by strong feelings, emotions, or maybe you're having anger problems. So you have to look at your own situation to try to understand. And individual rooms within your home can also have symbolic meaning as well. For instance, a kitchen. If something happens in the kitchen, that a lot of times represents the heart of the matter. Now, the bathroom, right? Bathroom can be about cleansing, right? Symbolically, that's what a bathroom is about, right? So you dream of something happening in the bathroom. It could be about bathing of your spiritual life, or indicating maybe that there's certain things that need to be done away with, things that should be flushed out of our lives, maybe. You get an idea how this kind of works. If you dream of a school, it might be about something that's testing your character at the time, something that's testing you, or something a lesson you've not paying attention to in your life, something you need to learn. If you're graduating in a dream, it means that you're probably ready for something new in your life, for instance. Another example, a car. If you dream about a car, or transportation, so that's symbolic of travel, of movement, like a spiritual journey, right? And if you dream of a car, one important thing to notice is, are you the driver or are you the passenger? It could mean that God has assigned a particular task to you or goal. If you're the driver, it's up to you to lead that. If you're the passenger, then you need to look for others to work with, right? You need to be a collaborator rather than a leader on this particular mission. If you dream about people, friends, it doesn't usually mean that the dream is about that person. The dream is about you, almost always. And the whole dream world is full of it. There are exceptions. But as a general rule, the meaning of that person may be the symbolic meaning of their name, the original root of their name, or their role in your life. When we interpret a dream about a person, we kind of consider what a person symbolically means to us rather than who that person is. It's tricky. A lot of dreams include weather. The symbolic meaning of weather depends on the type of weather, right? Bright white clouds. If you dream of yourself on the beach, a beach, by the way, is symbolically a scene of spiritual awakening. And there are bright white clouds or sunshine and a feeling of calm. That's an indication that's a dream of the reflection of strong faith usually, or an indication of God's presence in your life, particularly if you feel calm in the midst of a storm. That's a storm, but you feel calm. That has a meaning symbolically. These are just a few examples. I could go on for a long time. Just to give you an idea how to proceed, you can type in the Google, give me the dream meaning of an eagle, and it'll get you started. But know that that's just typical. That's not necessarily what works within your larger context. And so, and that's usually the best place to start with understanding a dream, is that overall context. Consider the big picture first in a dream and the symbolism of that. Did the dream leave you happy or sad? Did the dream make you confused? And once you have a handle on the overall context, then look at the individual symbols. They're usually easier to interpret. And those symbols will likely be linked together by a story, which may also have some meaning. We can only scratch the surface today as we talk about dreams and the Christian experience, the human experience. Because dreams are deep, subjective, and as rich as our waking lives. Maybe more rich in some cases. I'm always available and interested in talking about dreams and what they mean. If you're looking for help, And we're going to talk more about dreams in our discussion on Wednesday night. So if you want to talk more about dreams, join us at 7 o'clock on Wednesday on Zoom. And you might be wondering, should I work on my dreams? I mean, is working on dreams for everyone? Should dreams be a part of your spiritual path? Like I mentioned, there's a lot in the Bible that suggests that dreams are an important way that God communicates with at least some of us, if not everyone. If you want to include dreams as part of your personal discernment process, I mean, do you really want to include dreams? Are you willing to put in the effort? And if you can't decide whether or not you should include dreams or not, you might just want to consider sleeping on it.